Marshall Applewhite of the Heaven's Gate cult. I think he would have made the perfect Wizard of Oz out of anyone.
Ask about Illuminati, since the charting of Beatles. Is it Disney mind control? Is this MK Ultra Deluxe? Occult Disney, we go from real to real. Occult Disney, Bohemian Grove and no more real. Occult Disney, ask about Illuminati. Occult Disney, we teach occult to everybody. Occult Disney, the wish upon a star. Occult Disney, you know not to travel far. Oh, Occult Disney, the new brand Pinocchio. Yeah, yeah. Occult Disney, it's above so below. Occult Disney, please enjoy the show.
Hey, welcome to the Occult Disney podcast. We're taking you over the rainbow today into the great and powerful land of Oz with Oz the Great and Powerful. You know what? After I finished that intro, I just felt bad about myself. Hi, this is Matt here. It's Paranoid American there. How's it going? You want to go to Oz?
We all feel bad for you.
You want to go over the rainbow?
I mean, what does that mean? That feels coded. Did you just dog whistle me?
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking last time we went over the rainbow talking about Ava, we were on an aircraft carrier, but now we are in proper Oz. Had you seen this one before?
I doubt that I paid attention if I did. So no, this was essentially a brand new watch for me, and I had to keep looking up if any of this was canon. Not a lot of it is. Spoiler alert. So this is kind of Disney just doing their own thing with the Oz property,
while weirdly avoiding certain things with the Oz property, which we'll get into that a little bit too. But Evil Dead, Darkman, Spider-Man trilogy. I mean, I wanted to see this 10 years ago because it's directed by Sam Raimi, which this must be the most anonymous film he ever directed. And I did make a note watching it this time. When I tried to watch it 10 years ago, I gave up 37 minutes in. I actually managed to track the spot where I was like, no, 10 years ago. Of course,
what was happening at that spot?
I guess she's for the Queen stuff. We had just had the CGI lion and just after the monkey shows up.
Okay. I can see that.
Yeah. I think I saw the monkey and I was just like, no, finished.
So actually let's because there is plenty of occult symbolism to break down in this one, but I do want to just get all of the movie critics stuff out of the way first, just real quick with all the banter and stuff, because this movie is so weird. It's such a surreal fever dream because the entire time I'm watching it, I have to keep reminding myself that they spent a lot of money on the actors in this. Clearly there's a huge budget, but the 3D renders were from the 90s, the green screens from the 80s, and the makeup and practical effect are from the 70s. And as I'm watching this whole thing, I can't believe this was actually made after the year 2000. The way, I mean, some of the graphics you can tell because of the rendering, but man, this almost looked like it would have been a straight to TV style movie on the Disney Channel, but somehow it's a theatrical release with huge actresses in it.
They built a few cool sets. The throne room set was practical, and it is cool. At the end of the movie, when we're back in the throne room, I was ignoring what was happening on screen and just being like, that's a cool set. How cool would it be to go into this at a theme park or on a ride there or something, you know? So I'm just trying to find something to hang on to at that point. It is weird. I'm looking through the productions, they were trying to do things some things practically. It's they decided not to do everything digitally. Good for them, I guess. I don't know, because I do feel like this is a digital eyesore for the most part.
Big time, and it's a reverse of course, because I don't remember any recent Disney movie, even the cross live action ones, standing out so bad. There are some scenes in here where the green screen brought me back to 90s. I'm not even joking about that.
No, I don't have to watch, but I feel like the newer Pinocchios, Robert Zemeckis Pinocchio, that's depressing, and maybe that new Snow White might rip at my eyeballs a little more than this. I'm not sure. Those
So-
dwarves are a terror dream in that Snow White. If you've seen a still of them or something.
So once we get through the budget and critical reception, I've got a reminder for myself, so I'll remember it.
Okay. Do make your note. This is a weirdly forgotten movie that actually was quite successful. You're asking about the budget, 215 million. I guess once you get into the 2000s, that's just how it happens. Budget is on 493, almost 500. So this is a movie that it's right on that line where it's like, let's not do any more, but we made a bit of money from it, it seems, once you consider all the marketing and things. So no one took a bath on it, but I guess they did get a little skittish about making more of these, which is fine. I think people went to see it, and then everyone like this movie might have like erased their minds as they were watching it. Like this movie was mind controlling them. Although the Jungle Cruise, we were saying we forgot about that by the next morning. I at least remember things that happened in this the next day, you know. So
the Jungle Cruise. Now I know you're gaslighting me. There's no Jungle Cruise movie. I remember that.
Right. So you can recall a little bit more of this the next day. This weird, I feel like it's kind of the anti-Frozen, right? Frozen comes out the next year, an even more massive hit that has now permeated the culture, especially for the toddler set, right? But this had been gestating since the 30s. This was Disney's original thought to be the next project after Snow White, and then MGM kind of came in and beat them to the punch. But even in the 50s, Disney bought the rights to all of the other books, so they didn't have the rights to The Wizard of Oz. That's MGM. But they have the rights to the other, 13, 14, however many more Oz books there are. And what's the name of the movie that was gonna come out way back when? The Patchwork Girl of Oz. Am I right about that?
It sounds familiar, but you're gonna have to do your own fact check on this.
Yeah, I'm doing my real quick scan as I rant and look.
Because the Patchwork Girl was one of the different Baum characters.
That's okay. That is one of them. Sorry, the movie was going to be the Rainbow Road to Oz. I think it was going to start. Yeah, it was going to star the Mouseketeers. They actually did a number or two of it on The Wonderful World of Disney. So on TV, they did a few numbers that were going to be in the movie, but then the movie never ended up getting made. So Disney doesn't make an Oz movie until they do Return to Oz, which we watched, and that's a movie I remember some stuff from. So of course I think that scars children that watches it, but yeah, it wasn't actually successful. It's become more of a cult classic since, right? And around 2005 they did not one of my favorite Muppet productions. I was talking highly about Muppets Haunted Mansion. Muppet Wizard of Oz I could take or leave. So but they did that. So the Muppets did it. It's kind of weird the elements they have to change, and they had like copyright people on the production to make sure that they could make this movie without pissing off, the powers that be at another studio. So the Witch's Green is a slightly different shade of green, which sounds stupid, but I'm into guitars and I know several different shades of white now. When I see cars coming down the street, I'll be like, that one's Arctic white, that one's pearl white. I can tell. So they could tell what shade of green the witch is. And no ruby slippers, because that's MGM. It's a silver slippers in the book. So, I mean, they don't need slippers anyway. There's no Dorothy here. But
yeah, they only made them ruby red because they wanted to show off the new Technicolor technology.
And that was a good choice. I mean, silver slippers, whatever. Ruby slippers, awesome. I get that. But they can't put it in this movie,
Right. Well, I have to bring up that the silver slippers are the ones that made the most sense, especially if you believe that the original story of Wizard of Oz from Baum was also about the money standard,
gold standard, yeah.
Where there was a decision between if they wanted to go silver, if they wanted to go gold, and that fiat currency was the Emerald City and so.
One interesting thing. So yeah, they're kind of half paying attention to the 39 movie and half trying to avoid it as hard as they can with this, which might be part of its weird dissonance. It might be maybe why so many weird digital creations are there, because they really had to like copyright, think about every digital creation on screen.
I feel like you're carrying water. You don't have to carry, man. Like no one here is gonna grade you or like unless you've got some kind of arrangement with Disney. If they're sponsoring you and not me, that I don't know about. But this movie, it's interesting because I don't think it's a bad movie.
I do. So, just if you need me to assert against what I was saying a minute ago.
Well, I don't. So okay, so I don't. I think that there's some characters in here that are incredibly memorable. The porcelain doll with the little knife that's like ready to go and kill witches at like a moment's notice. That's one of the cooler Disney characters in the entire Disney universe, in my opinion. And the porcelain doll does come from the original Baum books because there was the China country, which probably had some racist undertones to it in the early 20th century, but the China country is where these porcelain people lived. And originally there wasn't like one individual. It was just this whole entire like area of different porcelain people. So in this one, they kind of simplify that into just one single porcelain doll girl. But I also think that
she does mention she's made of China. So at least that came through.
I think the story beats are good. Like it's a quality in terms of story beats. And I even like the opening is okay. And the way that it like transitions into Oz, I think it pays a great homage to the original 1939 production. But what it's so weird, man, is that like, here's just one decision, and I think it serves as a good example for all the other ones that you could extrapolate from it. They have Mila Kunis in this movie for, I don't know, the first like quarter of it or something, or the first third, and then she turns into this Wicked Witch of the West. But then when she's Wicked Witch of the West, she's wearing so many prosthetics that she just looks like one of those old Hollywood cat ladies that's had, like 80 surgeries on their face, and they all start looking like the exact same thing. Like they make her into that. And I'm just wondering, like, you spent all this money for like a well-known, recognizable face, and then you're just going to put a lot of horrible prosthetics on top of it and make it look cartoonish. And then maybe I'm the idiot for even thinking that, because she went on to win the MTV Best Actress of the Year award. So what do I know?
Well, you could do the opposite. Sylvester Stallone Judge Dredd, where he take a character who never takes off his helmet. So of course, but you're hiring Sylvester Stallone for $20 million. So helmet's gone 20 minutes in, an hour, and he's just wearing a black tank top and showing off his guns. I'm like, yeah, that's not Judge Dredd.
Yeah, that's true.
So the opposite doesn't work. Have you read any? Have you done any Wicked? I've done no Wicked whatsoever, by the way.
I've seen the movie, never seen the play, never read any of the books, but okay. I have, and I have to be honest, I skipped through all the singing parts. So instead of being like a 2.5 hour movie, I think it was maybe an hour for me.
Oh, okay. There's one song people seem to like, but yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I don't know anything about Wicked, really. I'm behind on my Wicked. So why am I doing an Oz podcast? Because it's a 2013 Oz the Great and Powerful.
It's interesting to have for context, because there's so many takes on the Wicked Witch of the West now. There's so many takes on Glinda. And another thing that I found out just trying to do my research and homework on this is that technically there's 4 different witches, and the movies turned it into just 3 witches. But then in the books, there's even more than the original 4 witches. I'll get into more detail when we start doing the occult breakdown.
Yeah, this one very confuses you because they've made some changes from the 39 movie to be more like the books, and then other things they didn't. So it's like they picked and chose like what they were going to change, what they were not going to change, which if you're a real Oz dork, that's really confusing. For most people watching this, that's not going to make this a bad movie. And I'm going to say the first 20 minutes, that black and white sequence, one, I was surprised they stayed in black and white that long for a 2013 film. And 2, in the black and white parts, the movie looked really good. So then when the color comes in and now everything looks like kind of gloopy, I mean, that's just a disappointment. So maybe the color timing's off. I don't know exactly what the deal is. And like you said, it's like a weird jumbled mix of styles from multiple decades that don't necessarily coalesce together.
Here's my last movie critique part of this whole thing. Lamest witch fight I've ever seen in my entire life. It was so milquetoast, and the graphics were kind of lame. And I didn't like any part of the witch fight. If you tell me this movie's got the two different witches fighting it out at the end of it, I'm expecting high hopes, especially if you're like, and this movie's got a 240 million budget. I'm thinking, man, that must be one badass witch fight at the end, and it is anything but.
Slight tangent, Matrix Revolutions final showdown. How did that work for you?
I didn't really care for any, like, as they went on. I cared about Matrix 1 the most, 2 a little bit less, 3 even less than that. The rest of them didn't even register. And then when Animatrix came back out, I was like, okay. So in my mind, it goes Matrix 1, 2, and then Animatrix. And I kind of pretend the rest of the series doesn't exist.
Okay, I'll apologize. I'm a sequel apologist, so that's kind of why I'm bringing it up. But yeah, a few things. So one of the reasons I was mentioning Wicked is it says screenwriter Mitchell Kapner felt he had missed his opportunity to explore the origins of the Wizard of Oz character. So started talking to Disney, just being like, I want to write a script like that. And they were clearly that happened because this movie exists. In 2010, who's the first person you call to be the wizard? It was not James Franco.
Who would I call to be the wizard?
In 2010, yes. Who is your wizard?
Ja Rule.
Ooh, that's a good choice. Okay. Anyway, the actual first choices were extremely obvious, which was just Robert Downey Jr. and Johnny Depp. Which Depp, no, he'd already done Willy Wonka. He can't do the wizard.
Yeah, all would have been weird. I would have thought skewing older. I honestly, the perfect one, which Disney wouldn't have been able to get, no matter how much money, would have been Marshall Applewhite of the Heaven's Gate cult. I think he would have made the perfect Wizard of Oz out of anyone.
So they should have made it in the 90s when that would have been possible.
They missed an opportunity here. Absolutely.
Yeah. I guess in the end, I'm like, James Franco's like, well, he's on screen. That's pretty much where I was with the
what's even funnier
here.
too is they have Abigail Spencer at the very beginning, who's the one that acts as the volunteer. And I mean, she's not necessarily, I don't think she's gotten any like Oscars or anything, but she wasn't a throwaway name even in 2013. And it was weird that she was just in the very beginning black and white portion of this, and then you never see her again. The same way that it's weird that you would hire Mila Kunis and then immediately cover her face up with weird prosthetics like halfway into the movie. Like all these really, really odd decisions of like, here's this person here. Zach Braff is kind of like a human, and then he also ends up being the weird 3D monkey that made you leave the theater the first time.
Yeah. No, it made me stop the file. I didn't go to the theater to try and watch this. Oh yeah, Abigail Spencer does have the one role. Because yeah, like you said, they try and mirror the 1939 one a little bit by having people, in Kansas also show up in Oz, or at least their voice.
So weird decisions all throughout, and there you go. That's all my critical feedback on this movie.
Weird decisions. There's my name for this movie. Yeah, see another one interesting. Compare this with is Tomorrowland, where I stated I felt that movie was always like 2 or 3% from being good, and it never was always 2 or 3% away from being good. This one is just like to say how the kids say it, it's just the most mid movie ever, like I guess nothing here's like offensively bad, but nothing's really, I mean, anything good, it's like, well, I just watch the 39 one,
Yeah, or even the Fairuza Balk one, right? Even that one is more memorable than this one. Although I would say if you've never ever watched this particular movie and you even cared the tiniest 20% about Wizard of Oz lore, it is worth one watch through, but I couldn't see me recommending you watch it more than once.
Well, I actually have read, I don't think I read all the Oz books, but I probably read 5 or 6, growing up. At one time of the year, ABC would show Star Wars, and then around Halloween, they'd show The Wizard of Oz, and I want to watch The Wizard of Oz on TV every year, right? So I've definitely, I was enough into the old one. I'm disappointed I never made it to MGM Grand's weird Wizard of Oz display they had for a while. So
I think I'll survive.
Yeah. I made it to Star Trek The Experience at school. And we do have North Georgia, or maybe it's in Tennessee, I don't remember, but there is a weird abandoned Oz theme park up there. And they actually still open it for like 1 week a year, and you can like go around the ruins of the Yellow Brick Road in Munchkin Town and stuff.
Yeah, they should open that on like Halloween, turn it into like one of those outdoor scare fests.
Ooh, that'd be cool. Yeah. I think I might try to turn it into a Christmas thing for a while, which is weird, but yeah. Abandoned theme parks. There are definitely a few Oz ones out there. What's your history with the original movie, the one that people, generally think of?
My history with it, I mean, it was one of my first introductions to cinema, like that I appreciated, and to special effects. And it was maybe one of the very first musicals that I ever heard that I didn't hate. Even and it was definitely the Lollipop Kid song. And then, man, over the years, the more I learn about it, the more deep it gets. It might even have been the very first conspiracy theory that I ever came across in my life, was that you could see the shadow of a munchkin that hung himself in the background. Like this movie is so multifaceted in how it's established lore in all these different avenues. It is such a deep part of Americana, like American culture and American conspiracy culture, that yeah, you can't like if you haven't seen this movie, then you're not really an American.
Yeah. And you were mentioning special effects. It's like the special effects in that are better than this one.
Yeah.
Like everything in that looks good still.
I mean, it sounds like we're just flippantly trying to just be hyperbolic and criticize. No, the original 1939 Wizard of Oz has superior visuals to the 2013 one.
Yeah,
I don't know how you do that.
I haven't watched it for a few years, but I'm sitting here like, none of the there are no shots in that movie that look bad. I mean, it might look like they're on a set because they are, but that's fine, Yeah.
Honestly, I would have preferred that. I would have preferred this have all been on a set, no CG whatsoever, just set design. Even if it's like a really good version of a high school set, I still think it would have been better to whatever they ended up with here.
But they cut the budget to $200 million. You have $200 million, and that's the small budget. What are you going to do with all that money? But yeah, there is just a blandness about this one. Like, again, Return to Oz, that one's just weird. That one doesn't have anything to do with the 1939 movie, and that one's way more interesting to watch.
Well, and that one's more accurate to Baum's original writings too, I believe, except for the sanitarium angle. I don't know if he went as hard into that particular angle to get there, but the rest of that actually explores kind of like the background and the lore and the weird characters. Those were Baum's weird characters.
But yeah, Oz is great and powerful. It is still a nice, it's at least a backdoor into get into all of this. So we, unlike the copyright lawyers during the making of this film, I think we can bring as much of the 39 film in the books as we want, because that's really the main event, right? This is just kind of like the MacGuffin to get there. A little bit, yeah. So I think the one thing that this movie has that any other Oz that comes up, which we'd eventually end up talking about the 39 anyways, but this one has the backstory of Oz. That's the only one that I really care about. The backstories of the witches, we'll get into, but they're not really as interesting. Oz himself is the most interesting, and his name. So this gets a little complicated. His name is Oz, and in fact, his name is like super long. I think I made it. It's Oscar Zoroaster Fadrig Isaac Norman Henkel Emmanuel Ambrose Diggs. That's his full name in this movie, but he goes by Oz, which is both short for Oscar and also a acronym for Oscar Zoroaster, which is his first and second name. So Oz is literally his name in this, but in the Baum books, it's usually like Oz is just the name of the land, and then there's the King of Oz. So we ignore the whole King of Oz part, and he just kind of becomes Oz. He represents this Oz name because it's his actual name, and that he is a literal alchemist in this world, but he comes kind of from like it's not necessarily a future, right? Like when Dorothy goes from her normal black and white house into the Technicolor Munchkin land, is she time traveling? Or is she dimension hopping? I think the books do get a little bit more into that. I guess we assume this is Kansas in 1900. Is that the correct assumption, that we put it where the books are?
I guess I was thinking, 1900 and 1920s, definitely early 20th century, because there's like a P.T. Barnum feel to the circus barker, and as the camera's weaving through, and you've got this con man magician, you'd assume there's probably a bearded lady out there somewhere too, right? So this is definitely early 20th century.
Now, the first 20 minutes of this movie, I will say, were actually pretty legit good. And then when it goes into color, it just kind of like craps the bed. But I did find interesting that the audience turns on him when the little girl asks to make her walk. And he's like, no. And I'm like, any adult should be like, he's an entertainer putting on a show. But yeah. I guess mob mentality, it's like, no, you've been tricking us. It's like, you've paid to get tricked. This guy doesn't do actual magic,
If you want that movie, you want Leap of Faith with Steve Martin.
Yeah. So, which I did see at least once, but yeah, I did, and I thought that was actually an interesting thing to depict on screen. Like you just mentioned a movie where they do that, but in a Disney movie that's supposed to be 4-quadrant, in 2013, I was like, oh, that's an idea to put in there,
Well, so I think that this is probably the most merit that I can muster up for this film. This is not me carrying water. This is legitimately the best aspect of this film is this idea that Oz is an alchemist, but that he's conflicted because he thinks that he's a con man. He thinks that he's just swindling people, and he's got no problem doing that in normal life. But then once he gets to Oz, for some reason, he kind of starts having issues with portraying this. I guess it's because he's seeing real magic in front of his eyes. He's seeing people fly. These witches are casting spells and flying, and he knows he can't actually jump off a cliff and fly. So he feels really inadequate. And then he starts getting this imposter syndrome where, like, man, I'm not actually a wizard. I'm not actually anything special. But then you find out that because of his knowledge of technology, that he's able to pull off these huge feats that trick and convince and scare all these witches away from town. Like that, he scares off the Wicked Witch of the West, essentially, using technology. And I mean, based on Arthur C. Clarke's Third Law, that makes him a magician.
Also, this movie kind of has the plot of 3 amigos, except now there's only one amigo, and he's Oz.
Okay, and if my grandma had wheels, she'd be a bike.
Does your grandma have wheels? Here, I'll dump out some water. I do have a note here that I'm only 17 minutes in, and I wish I hadn't already eaten all of my pretzels because I was eating pretzels.
So it was really capturing your engagement all the way through. See, I really didn't dislike the movie because there was a hope. Like as I'm watching it, I'm pulling up notes and I'm trying to like cross-reference stuff. Maybe I'm just becoming enamored with the whole concept of Oz from the start anyways, that I was like some of that spilling over into this movie. So like, for example, I like that we get more insight on the Wicked Witch of the East. We're so sick of hearing about the Wicked Witch of the West and her stupid green skin and like all the stupid monkeys. So now we get both sides of that. And this one also makes a reference to the Good Witch of the South, which is Glinda. Although in the books,
that's where they it's like we change some things, we don't change other things. I guess they were just like it'll shatter people's minds if we change Glinda's.
Because in the books, Glinda's the daughter of a dead king and the Good Witch of the South. So she's kind of, but then she becomes the Good Witch of the South just through, I guess, inheritance and genealogy. And then there's also a Good Witch of the North, but we don't get that in any of the movies, I don't believe.
No, maybe if this one got a sequel, which it didn't, because no one was asking for it.
It's honestly, it's a little confusing. Once you get beyond there's a good witch and a bad witch, we don't need a third and a fourth. There's really no reason to have 2 bad witches. It really does feel redundant. Although, I guess into like some of the occult breakdown on this, you notice that it's the Wicked Witch of the East and the West. So anything that's going horizontally is wicked, and then anything that's going vertically is good, because it's the Good Witch of the North and the South.
Make your way down to Antarctica, climb that ice wall. That's the good thing to do. Traveling to, I don't know, Europe, that's the bad thing to do. I don't know. Just trying to work out why one direction would be this and one direction is that. Sailing, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, okay, so this is where it starts getting a little bit more occult, because in the original books, and this doesn't really come out too strongly in the movies, and maybe it influenced the set design, but they don't explicitly mention the story. But so you've got the east, west, north, and south. The east, which is in the 1939 movie, this is the witch that the house falls on her. And
I was gonna say we get her toes in the last one.
yeah, Dorothy just takes her magic slippers and puts them on, and this is supposed to give her like all these different magic powers. But we don't really ever see the Witch of the East up until this movie. And in this movie, it's played by Rachel Weisz. And in the books, there's a color to the east, which is blue, and then the color into the west is yellow, which I think maybe is like the Yellow Brick Road, might be a reference to that. But the Wicked Witch of the West is yellow, who rules Winkle Country or Winky Country. And then there's also Munchkin Country. There's like all these different areas of it. So it's blue is the east, yellow is the west, red is the south, where Glinda the Good's at, and then the north was purple. But the north we don't see in these movies either, because Glinda kind of absorbed all of that. So now we've got the blue, yellow, and red represent the actual places in Oz from the books that make it into the movies. So there's a reason why all this actually matters.
Another weird copyright thing, by the way, is in Munchkin Town, the Yellow Brick Road could not end in a spiral. That was considered copyright infringement. It's so weird when you get into this stuff. Yeah. It's like, why? Who cares?
I've seen some depictions with that spiral. I can't remember which movie it was. There was one.
I think in this one, it's kind of like I think it was like concentric triangles or something. In this particular movie, like it still evoked a spiral, but it was not a spiral because they could not put a spiral on to the end of the Yellow Brick Road. That was considered MGM's property for some reason.
And I guess this might also be a reason why they can't do all the same color theory. Like the fact that the witch is still green, but they had to change the shade. Maybe they're just like, screw canon, let's do our own thing.
She couldn't have a mole either. Margaret Hamilton had the mole, right? And this witch could not have the little black mole. So I thought the Wicked Witch of the West looked pretty garbage in this movie for the most part.
They literally should have just made her skin green and not given her any prosthetics, and it would have.
Were they doing digital makeup?
They had a mixture. So even in the beginning, when we see Mila Kunis as like a normal human form, they're applying like a weird Vaseline soap opera effect to her skin. And the only thing I can think of is why they're doing this is that so then later when they smooth out the weird prosthetic mask, it doesn't look like overly smooth because they've already been giving her that treatment or something. Again, weird decisions, the movie.
Yeah.
So the rest of that color theory I think is actually really interesting. So Dorothy lands in the land of the Munchkins. She lands where where the
road ends.
Blue. She lands in the east, and this is she lands in the east, and this is the color blue. And blue in pretty much
ruler.
In most of the different esoteric traditions, blue represents initiation, like being born, being baptized. So this kind of correlates directly in terms of color with what the esoteric color theory already is. And this continues with all the rest of the different quadrants. So yellow.
Well, that also makes blue the first color because that movie is in black and white till that point. So in that case, the first color is blue.
Okay, good. So good point. Even more so. The West being yellow, and this is like gold, materialism, and greed, and this is the Wicked Witch that's enslaving all of her people and obsessed with power. This is kind of like being the entrapment in like the Saturnian cube, essentially. Then you've got the red, which is Glinda, which kind of is weird because in the movies, I don't think I would ever have guessed that Glinda's color is red, but there she is, and this kind of represents the guardian, like the guardian aspect in magic systems, and that this is supposed to also be like the transformative element, that Glinda's supposed to be the ultimate ruler of all this and like the roots of the entire Oz. So her being in the South also makes sense because without Glinda, then all of Oz would essentially fall. She's the one that helps Dorothy get to where she's going, and it is like the one source of good in the rest of this realm. So her being seated in the south as the roots of this entire tree also makes sense. And then the north would be the purple, which correlates to like air, spirit, wisdom. And she's so ethereal that we don't even see her in the movies.
Nice. So what is the Emerald City? Is what, stuck in the middle?
Emerald City's stuck in the middle, and it's clear. I mean, I think we've established that Baum was basically a theosophist. So the Emerald City in the middle is kind of like the perfect balance between all of these different persuasions, and then it represents the Emerald Tablet, or it represents like a philosopher's stone in a way.
It gets weirder in the books, so we do see some people are wearing similar goggles in this, but in the books, the Emerald City itself is not emerald. Well, all residents are what, they're locked into goggles, so everything they see is green.
Right. On your way into the city, you're told that this city is so majestic that it'll basically burn your retinas out if you don't put on these special goggles. And the special goggles actually have gold on them, and they're locked to your head. And there's this one guy that controls everyone that goes in and out of the city. So as you go in, he locks these goggles onto your head, and it makes you see everything as emerald. Although technically, you would never really know whether the city was emerald or not, because you're not allowed to enter it unless you have these emerald goggles locked onto your head to start with.
Just coming from books that old, because that's before mass media really gets underway, because now they're like, oh yeah, mass media is a goggles for us to see the world a certain way, and I'm like, it's pretty pressy in a 1900. I mean, they had newspapers and stuff, but
and plus they had to make their way through the opium field in order to get there too, so they're really kind of like hammering it over your head a little bit. And honestly, the goggles part and the Tin Man and the interdimensional time travel, all these aspects, man. The original Wizard of Oz books are way more sci-fi than any of the movies ever get it credit for. If they just had the scene where they had to put on these goggles in order to enter the city, now it's kind of leaning more towards Metropolis, and it would have been justified. But since it never went that way in the movies, I think that it's totally ventured more into fantasy and away from sci-fi. But there is a justified sci-fi version of Wizard of Oz out there that hasn't existed yet.
But at least they put goggles on a few people, so you know what they would have looked like if they had leaned into that a little more. And I mean, he's got his science guy goggles as well, as he's building his mist machine to stick his face into. That's something a little in the books. Isn't it like the wizard comes out of whatever like kind of disturbs you the most? So if it is a big scary face, it's a big scary face, and if it's a lizard, you're going to get a lizard's going to come out at you instead. I think there's more of a psychological, like mind reading aspect to his technology in the books.
Again, more sci-fi. Like he's actually running MK Ultra on these like munchkins.
And yeah, the idea like this machine will create the thing you fear most. I mean, that's kind of like, how do you program someone that way?
Look, he's got them hooked on sugar, or probably aspartame if this is MK Ultra CIA. And then he's got them all chanting these annoying songs over and over again. That this is psychic driving from Ewan Cameron. All of this is classic MK Ultra Doctor. Oz has got to be prototypical mad scientist.
It is interesting that this isn't a musical, because of course the original is Wicked's extremely a musical, and this is the one time Disney's attempts at Oz have never. I think the Muppets did some songs, but Return to Oz didn't have songs, did it? It's interesting
no, it was a little too creepy for that.
The Rainbow Road to Oz, the movie they did not make in the 50s, I would have had Mouseketeer singing songs, so that would have gone the musical route. But it is interesting that Disney has done it a few times and not even tried to make it a musical, because Disney is, well, at least known for doing they're known for doing all kinds of musicals, aren't they?
I now appreciate Disney movies with no musicals, and I'm thinking that probably influenced me not hating this entire movie, is because I never found myself like, oh God, here's another song.
I mean, that's when when I saw Toy Story back in 1995, I was like, that was great. They had like a song on the soundtrack, but they didn't all sing and dance, and that probably endeared people to Toy Story, especially after Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and Little Mermaid, all of which are fine, but are extremely song laden, right?
So clearly Disney made this outside of canon. They used some parts of the books and they leveraged some of the nostalgia from the original movie, but they kind of went in their own direction for establishing the backstories on some of these characters. Like, do you think any of it was necessary?
I think the lawyers insisted. I think that's a big part of it. I think if the copyright thing had not been part of the production of this film, they would have gone more for directly referring the 39 movie. But because they're kind of halfway, they're like, we're doing homage to the 39 movie while doing our own thing. Again, that's legalese, right? I think a lot of that just has to do with copyright law.
And this movie also implies that the Wicked Witch of the West only became wicked because James Franco kissed her the night before and then kind of like offended her. And now she's going to enslave an entire race of munchkins over this, over a bad date.
Is that what Wicked does? I don't know the story of Wicked at all. So does this fit with Wicked?
No, not at all. This is completely different than Wicked. So in this movie, there's this very specific event that transforms her from Theodora, just a regular witch, not a good witch or a bad witch, just like a neutral witch. And then it turns Theodora into the Wicked Witch of the West because she's been scorned. And I mean, I'm oversimplifying.
Well, they say that I've taken your empathy. Is that what she says? Like you no longer have empathy?
Yeah. So this turns, she like literally transforms into a different being. In Wicked, I believe it's like she's born green, and there's like a heavy like social justice, like racial aspect to it, where instead of being born black, she was born green, and everyone ostracized, like white and black and Asian people are all able to like join together and defeat racism. But now they're going to be super critical of the person that has like green skin. And so that's kind of the story that you get from Wicked, is that the Wicked Witch of the West just looked like she was different, and everyone always picked on her, and constantly being picked on because of her skin color like closed her off from the rest of the world, and that's what maybe turned her wicked. Although in the actual movie and the play, I assume, in Wicked, like she's not actually like the Wicked Witch at any point, and that all of this is fake news and it's propaganda put on by normalized society, calling this poor green skinned girl a wicked witch. So that and I think it's like a prequel thing, because it's her and Glinda like kind of going to college. They're kind of at Hogwarts.
I'm also sitting here thinking that you almost described the plot to Frozen there. You know, it's ice powers instead of green skin in that case, but
and lesbians.
Yeah, and they're sisters in that case, but but we are getting it is. I think we are starting to smell like a new thread here with that, you know, because that's starting to crop up in more and more of these movies of the different and scorned girl, I guess, who grows up to become dangerous. I mean, just Frozen,
like
I guess.
Would have wanted. This is exactly what Walt had in mind when he first started putting these movies together.
So, but this one, that's why I was watching. I was like, oh, is Wicked just like watching this from the other perspective? But yeah, it's a very different narrative in that case. Okay, got you. Because I was like, oh, is this just the other side of the coin? Because it sounds like there were some people, the screenwriter had to do with both, it seems. So I guess he was like, okay, throw that in the trash. Let's start over and do this.
Yeah, from what I can tell, this the Oz Great and Powerful, since it's not canon itself, it's not like they kind of mix around and do their own thing. It also means that you can't use this as a launch point for any other future thing, because there's already been like Wicked has come out and it's kind of eliminated some of the backstory that this one they try to do. And I feel like there's like going to be a battle, but almost like like different religions in the Middle East like coming together over thousands of years. There's going to be like the version of Wizard of Oz that's going to be a little bit of the books, a little bit of the 1939, a little bit of the Firuza Balk. Like you're going to get this amalgamation at some point, and then that's going to be the new Wizard of Oz. Just all like right now we're watching the 4-dimensional timelines kind of being created, like the pathways being created in real time.
Wicked had a very long build-up too, which I feel like we don't see so much these days, because the book is 1995, the musical is 2003. It's starting to get its first revival runs when this movie comes out, and then in the past year, it like I guess blew up on the pop culture landscape because everyone's like, "Have you seen Wicked yet?" I'm like, "No, I still need to watch Sinners. I need to watch the new Naked Gun. Then maybe I'll get to Wicked."
Yeah, honestly, to me, man, Wicked's not a movie; it's a musical. If you like musicals, you'll probably like Wicked. But if you just want a Wizard of Oz movie, I don't. My opinion, this is not it. Like you're going in for a musical experience.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain things. One of the best sequels in that regard, I would say, would be a 2010, because 2001's a pretty, hermetically sealed film in multiple ways that you just can't follow up. But 2010 is like, you can take it or leave it. If you take it, it's not bad. Wizard of Oz is a pretty, like totemic film. I mean, where do you go from there? The books find ways to go, but the movie itself, I mean, they didn't make another one, right? So right then, the actors are iconic there, so you can't do that again,
I think the world can handle a modern, like, re-envisioning of Wizard of Oz that takes place in modern day that isn't The Wiz.
Oh yeah, The Wiz. I love The Wiz. Sorry, I forgot about that one. Okay, they've done it. They made The Wiz.
I get, but like they can make a good version of The Wiz.
I like the one we have. I understand what you're saying, but I like the one we have.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be The Wiz. It would be The Wizard of Oz that takes place in 2025. But yeah, the Wiz is the closest that we have to a modern retelling of Wizard of Oz, which is crazy to say because that itself was like 40 years ago.
Well, there's so many movies where the filmmaker's like, "Oh, I'm kind of referencing the Wizard of Oz in this movie," right? So it's like David Lynch makes the Wizard of Oz again,
But seriously, like the amount of time between the 1939 Oz and then the Wiz, that's how far we are from the Wiz right now, roughly. I'm sure it's not perfect, but like,
oh no, Wiz is way closer to the original than we are to the Wiz. That's like 50 years to 30 years, yeah.
So I mean, it seems like the world is overdue for a modern retelling of this story, and it's kind of crazy that it hasn't happened. Especially, maybe it's because of the legal minefield aspect.
Well, I guess Wicked just found the correct path to take to do that, right? So it's like, why would you you run into all these weird legal problems now because now Disney owns a piece of the Wizard of Oz, MGM, whatever MGM is now. Does Disney own them by now? I don't know. If they buy MGM, I guess they could do it. But no, it's Amazon because they're going to do Bond, right? I don't know. All this stuff gets confusing. Who owns who? So
they're literally fighting over our brains. Like they're fighting over real estate in our heads. This is that weaponized nostalgia. And Wizard of Oz is sort of ground zero. You're actually seeing the front lines of different corporations fighting over your memories.
I think that might be what makes me kind of dislike this movie more than it even deserves because of that, right? It's like kind of blatantly going after your mind's real estate, and it's not good enough to take it.
And maybe that's why I'm not so threatened by it, where it's like, man, this movie isn't even that good. Whatever programming you've got in here, it's probably not going to affect me.
See, I'm like, do better.
Down.
Affect me. Because there are some movies where I know it's doing it and it still does affect me. I realize that the response did come through. Oh, that scene made me feel weepy. And they're playing me like a harp with the multiple ways or whatever. So, like I get, like in that case, I still see it. So it doesn't have, I think, a long-term effect, but I see it. It's like, why do I look at CNN headlines every day? Because I can read through them. I know what they're saying,
For me, it's the music. As soon as I hear the slow single piano note with the high reverb, I know to be on like high alert that someone's about to manipulate my emotions, or they're going to try to.
Ghostbusters are serious now. Take the Ghostbusters seriously. They must be taken seriously and with reverence. Never
and not with the sweet 80s synths.
Ooh, yeah. There's a sketch Jordan Peele where it shows Ray Parker Jr. trying to create other songs. All of them sound like Ghostbusters. Because even that one, I think that was already like another song he did basically. He just did it again as Ghostbusters. So
also that particular synth patch that makes that noise from the Ghostbusters, you can't play that any other way without hearing Ghostbusters, which is more credit to just how iconic that freaking song was.
Yeah. DX7, get one of those. You're going to sound like Ghostbusters. That's how it works. I'm not sure that's what they used on that song, but I would guess. Okay. I do like we get a Scrooge McDuck scene here. I was happy to see that where James Franco goes money diving. I always like a good Scrooge McDuck scene. I guess Aladdin gets to do a bit of that.
One of the better practical effect scenes in this entire movie is that part where like that's not 3D. They actually filled up like a little miniature Scrooge McDuck for him to jump into. The rest of the set design was 3D, but like the coins themselves weren't.
That's probably why I liked it. Again, that's why I was like, I guess Raimi was just like, we got to have a few real cool things here. That throne room set, I thought was like up against any of the sets from the original movie. Like if they just do more of that, come on, people.
There's a really good quote in here from James Franco as Oz, and he's trying to explain that as he's manipulating people, someone says like, I'm not comfortable lying. And he says, don't think of them as lies. Think of them as stepping stones on the road to greatness. And I can just imagine there's at least one kid out there that saw this movie at a formative point in their life, and they're still hearing this quote in the back of their head, and it's justifying them being an absolute sociopath.
That's like Ricky Bobby, you know, the Will Ferrell movie where Gary Cole as a kid tells him, like, if you ain't first, you're last. And then he lives his life. And at the end, Dad, you told me if you ain't first, you're last. What? Why the hell did I say that? I must have been drunk. There are weird things that people say to you. I make a lot of music, and for years, I would never split a syllable into two notes because my wife at one point said that was annoying. And so and then I said it again. Oh yeah, I never really like, you know, day, something like that. And she was like, why did I tell you that? That's stupid. I was like, oh, I've actually kind of been making music for 10 years where I don't do one syllable. Because that one thing that you
said, yeah. You remember?
Which
a couple other quick notes on here. Maybe James Franco is a Freemason, just because as soon as he shows up, the little monkey that looks kind of like a Shriner tells him, surely you must travel light. And that's like one of the coded ways of indicating someone's a Freemason, that they travel light. So
he seems like a down and out one. He's the one that's drinking at the small town lodges.
I mean, that was kind of one of the reasons that you would join too. It was kind of like a social welfare program, especially in the early 20th century before the joinerism kicked in. The other note here too, that I think is like a strange way of watching this, but there are some scenes in the very beginning, right after Oz gets into Oz, and he's like running around with Theodora, Mila Kunis, before she turns into Wicked Witch of the West. And the scenes are like when they run over a hill, it almost is like a Sonic the Hedgehog style hill that they have to like run fast and stick to. And then the camera like pulls all the way out, and you're seeing it almost like it's a video game. And man, like it made me want to think like this movie would have been so good as a video game if it looked like that versus the movie.
Sure, there is a video game version of this somewhere.
It's probably not as good as the one that I'm thinking of in my head.
I mean, that's a Sam Raimi move. Like it's hard to remember that Sam Raimi directed this movie, but there are little touches, you know. Like,
every once in a while, I'm like, yeah, this is kind of Spider-Man. Now I see it. Like this is the Spider-Man aesthetic. Like there's comic book style physics and scenes that happen in this thing. Even that witch fight that I mentioned at the end, which is so freaking lame. It's the Wicked Witch of the East is fighting the good, or Glinda, which is in this version, I guess, the Good Witch of the South. And it's really just like lightning effects. They just shoot their little wands at each other, and lightning meets in the middle, and they do that for a little while until one of them falls and breaks.
I thought it was like the Emperor's Force lightning from Star Wars, but now it's green.
It was so lame for like these two witches to be duking it out like that.
Yeah. It is interesting that Sam Raimi doesn't direct a movie after this for like 10 years. This got him, at least, I don't know exactly. I mean, there's so many directors where like, why haven't they made a movie in 10 years? He comes back to make like the Multiverse of Madness, which I'd say is a little better in this movie, but that's like half like dumb Marvel crap that we've gotten tired of. And there is some actual Raimi in that movie, I would say, but the mix is weird because it's
Multiverse of Madness. Wasn't that the Doctor Strange movie?
Correct.
I loved that movie.
I had a weird
I'll fight you right now over that.
Well, you'll fight me halfway, because half of the movie I was like, this is Sam Raimi stuff and I love it, and the other half is like, this is the corporate boardroom at Marvel dictating what goes into this movie.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah.
So the Raimi parts, all the weird zombie crap, love that. You know, cool stuff. But Yeah. Also, it's just all of us, I think, are collectively like having brain rot on Marvel stuff, and that was kind of like one of the last times. Like, I kind of like this, but I am getting tired of it, And I will give Oz the Great and Powerful is better than Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland. Okay, I'm going to put this above that Alice in Wonderland for sure.
Yeah, if you want creepy Alice in Wonderland, there's a game series by American McGee, which is also a really awesome name. His first name is American, but the American McGee's Alice is probably one of the. Just go and watch like a playthrough or something on YouTube.
I actually did play a bit of that like several years ago because it was on an iPad.
Watching that playthrough is better than watching the Tim Burton movie.
Oh yeah, easily. I think that's what half the review said. So, and then there's a sequel to that, which makes even less sense. And I did see the sequel to that, and I can't remember anything about that one. Really, I remember Kaleidoscopic Colors. That one must have actually done some proper programming.
The Ghostbusters has come up a couple times already for a good reason here too, because this theme of video games being sequels of classic movies, I don't think it's really been done great yet, except for there was a Ghostbusters video game for, I don't know, PS3, PS2, PS3. But the Ghostbusters video game was a legitimate in-canon, like, spiritual sequel.
That is Ghostbusters 3.
Ghostbusters. It is Ghostbusters 3, but it's literally a video game. And aside from that one example of Ghostbusters 3, the video game, I can't really think of anyone else that's actually done this. It's made a video game based on a movie franchise that's so popular that it's now considered canon. There are some Matrix autists out there that know all the different canon that comes out of the different Matrix video games. That
was kind of a side thing, though, right? The Ghostbusters one that's the main character's main narrative thread, whereas the Matrix, here is all the cool stuff on the side. It fits in with the proper movies, but it is different, right? Which is, I mean, that's more sustainable, isn't it? You can't just keep making Ghostbuster sequels if that game's successful. Whereas you can keep adding to the Matrix Online or whatever it was called. I don't quite remember the name. I'm trying to think of what are some other different genre. I know The Prisoner has had several comic book series trying to follow that up that are completely different from each other. Like one says this happens, one says this happens. So, but that's comic books, I guess, doesn't really count because, I mean, that's when, the X-Men meet the crew of Star Trek. So yeah, it's not going to happen anywhere else.
In the comics world, they just make up another new multiverse, and they're just like, okay, we can start over from scratch.
You're Dr. McCoy. I'm Dr. McCoy. That was the best part of that mashup, by the way. The two Dr. McCoys. What have we not hit here? Real sunflowers are cool. CGI sunflowers suck. How did they screw up CGI mist? It seems even Superman 64 got the CGI mist down, and they messed it up in this movie. Superman 64 got nothing else right, but that mist was there, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most that you can get out of this movie is Oz's story arc as a true alchemist that is struggling with his own imposter syndrome, but that ultimately he really is a wizard. He really is an alchemist, and he really does know magic. It's just that his version of magic is almost like atheistic. He doesn't see what he's doing as true magic. He just sees it as manipulating technology, and that he understands all these principles of fireworks and chemistry, but that literally is magic to these people that he's showing it to. The same way that I don't know how they're flying, but it seems that any good MK Ultra scientist could extract that flying ability from organic material and then figure out a way to turn it into like a pharmaceutical and sell it.
Well, he's coming in with Arthur C. Clarke's, third law? Any technology sufficiently developed looks like magic. In the world of Oz, it's any magic sufficiently developed looks like technology, and technology blows their minds. The Emerald City blows their minds. Yeah. And in the books, again, that's why I do like the goggle part, where it's just like, here's a really dumb, simple technology that is, that's their magic. High technology.
And everyone falls for it. Yeah.
Flying monkeys and witches, that, good witches and bubbles. Another thing they weirdly could keep in this movie. I feel like that's iconic from the MGM one, but yeah, it was fine for Glinda to travel in bubbles here. So yeah, that stuff's normal to them. It's the technology that's crazy. Show them an iPhone, they'll flip their minds out, blow up the moon with your mind. They're used to that.
Oh God, what's the movie where the kid goes back to like medieval nighttime, but he like raps and he like does the first rap? I think Martin is in it.
Yeah, I'm exactly on your tip of the brain.
There might have been two movies with the same premise, and Martin was in one, and then there was like a white kid in the other one.
Yeah, these are late 90s, right? So they were not the ones I was 90s. Going to see,
First Night? Was it called First Night? I don't know.
I think that's the Heath Ledger. No, that's A Knight's Tale. Maybe you're right with First Night. Okay.
It's not Knight's Tale. Anyways, but that's essentially Arthur C. Clarke in action, right? Like they go back and they show them rap music, or I think this might have been pre-cell phone, but they show them like some kind of technology like sneakers, and everyone thinks that it's magic. I think that's one of the best portrayals of that.
A monochrome Game Boy. I hope it's a monochromatic Game Boy. That would blow minds in 1400 still,
It would have been like a Tiger handheld, probably.
By the late 90s, you could at least have the monochromatic Game Boy in your pocket. Yeah. The Tiger games depress me. That's all I'm saying.
I don't even know as an adult if the OG Game Boy would fit in my pocket. Maybe while Jinkos were big, you could fit a game like a classic Game Boy in your pocket. But I don't know, man. A little like 10-year-olds wearing like normal 10-year-old clothes. That Game Boy is not even gonna barely fit in your hand.
Yeah. I definitely had a DS in my pocket for a fair amount of my existence. So those fit. But yeah, Game Boy's a little chunkier than that, isn't it? I put too many things in my pockets as well, so I think the Game Boy would be fine in my pocket. I mean, I keep like guitar slides and like power cords and all sorts of dumb crap in my pocket. So what's in my pocket now? Cold medicine, 2 pins, not 1 pin. A guitar slide.
You're freaking me out because I can't stand to have anything in my pockets.
You want this in your pocket? It's a how many? It's a wooden thing with 8 octagonal thing. It's basically meant to, it's a put into sore muscle thing, right? But yeah, my pocket is like insane amounts of stuff in it. Why is there a guitar slide in my pocket? Because I might need it. That's why.
You're freaking me out a little bit with all the stuff in your pockets.
I did take the cape out because my fingers kept getting caught on it. But yeah. Left pocket, I don't have things in. It's only right pocket. That's where it gets even weirder. Left pocket doesn't have stuff in it. And maybe I put my phone in there. And then right pocket just has like tons of crap. Okay, well, you're on my wife's team with that. She didn't like all the stuff I have in my pockets.
I'm glad there's at least some order to this.
Yeah, there's an order. Anything else you want to throw on this movie? I mean, like you said, there's a fair amount of occult itches scratch. How the ballerina? That seemed like a kind of like a weird trigger that's used at several points in the movie, where they have the toy box with the ballerina.
And it's clearly something that he just ordered from China, and that he keeps trying to pawn this off like his grandma gave it to him on like her deathbed. But he's got like a trailer full of these things somewhere. Yeah,
but it's like it's like he's just betting that the ballerina will trigger people, and for some reason.
Well, he thinks it's going to be this emotional. He's trying to manipulate their emotions, and it actually works. We see it work on Theodora. And that's part of the reason she turns into this wicked witch of the West, is because she caught him trying to like straight up manipulate her that way.
Well, I did write down her quote, "You're going to fix everything." That's bad motivation. That's not a good start to a relationship, And then I write the quote, "I want you to have this MK Ultra triggering ballerina." And then the next day she's turned into a witch. I mean, I know he didn't do that directly, but it did seem like
he didn't help.
Again, it didn't help. It definitely got her on the road to becoming what she becomes, which is this. Again, her mind she is robbed of, I guess they said empathy, but yeah, she is a different person after that run of events, which is triggered by that music box that gets the ball rolling.
I do find that the Wicked storyline about the Wicked Witch of the West being born with green skin is more compelling than the transformational version of this.
It is. I mean, it especially that the whole transformation is basically in a 24-hour period from her getting weird to becoming screaming and flying and all, and having monkeys following her or whatever.
It can happen. There's some interesting people out there.
Yeah, maybe by tomorrow I'll be a monkey flyer. We'll see. Yeah. What else you got?
I mean, I got a whole bunch of other things going on. I got another podcast called Under the Docks where I review old conspiracy documentaries, and people seem to be liking the series enough. We might start doing like a mainstream Mondays thing where we just watch one of the latest documentaries that's getting all the big attention and just giving a really quick recap and whether or not it's worth watching and all the main points and if they hold up or not. So that's a really fun series called Under the Docks, and you can find that by just searching Paranoid American on wherever you're listening to any of your podcasts. This should be the first result.
And yeah, I'm looking here. It looks like you just did I don't have the room. What's the room? I definitely want to do that.
Room 237, which is a movie about movies about a movie. And it's because the movie The Shining by Stanley Kubrick has been interpreted by so many different people as he had a secret message and it was all about slavery, or it was all about expansion over the different Native American lands, or maybe it was about he faked the moon landing, or maybe it was about so many different aspects of our culture now that this is a movie about all the theories about what his movie was really about. And it doesn't actually talk about The Shining at all. It's all about like the things that The Shining was trying to represent. So I think it's an absolutely fascinating topic. It's one that I can go on for hours about.
No, that's why as I saw the top of the list, I'm like, I want to get under that doc, don't I? So that's where
you'll be happy to know we've been doing Under the Docks in little chunks. So we'll do basically 3 at a time that are all the same theme. So we do Room 237, and then we're going to end up watching Kubrick's Odyssey, which is Jay Weidner's take on this one, where he goes all the like as far into the paint as you can possibly go on the Kubrick fake the moon landings angle of this.
Ooh. Anyway, that's there. I talk about media over at Podcastio, podcastius.org. We've covered the complete Twilight Zone on Time Enough podcast. What else are we doing? We're talking real good movies or real bad movies on Films and Filth. We've had a surprising amount of Bollywood, and we've kind of become Bollywood fans. So maybe you will become a Bollywood fan. We'll see. So head there.
Not likely. Oh, and on the way out, hit the little fucking thumb thing. Oh, I might beat myself. Hit the little thumb thing. Hit the subscribe. Hit the bell. Hit all the things. It turns out when we remind you to say that, you'll actually do it more often. So please hit the like on the way out.
It's your boy here. Do it. Like, subscribe, write. See, I've never done it before. They don't say write, do they? Write a review. Maybe they say that. I'm just jumbling all my words.
Write a letter to the editor.
I'm off to see the editor, the wonderful editor of Oz.
Ready for a cosmic conspiracy about Stanley Kubrick, moon landings, and the CIA? Go visit nasacomic.com.
nasacomic.com, CIA's biggest con. Stanley Kubrick put us on, that's why we're singing this song. I'm nasacomic.com. Go visit nasacomic.com. Go visit nasacomic.com. Yeah, go visit nasacomic.com. Oh, nasacomic.com, CIA's biggest con. Stanley Kubrick put us on, that's why we're singing this song. I'm nasacomic.com. Go visit nasacomic.com. Go visit nasacomic.com. Yeah, go visit nasacomic.com.
Never a Straight Answer is a 40-page comic about Stanley Kubrick directing the Apollo space missions.
Yeah, go visit nasacomic.com.
This is the perfect read for comic, Kubrick, or conspiracy fans of all ages. For more details, visit nasacomic.com.
Paranoid. scribble my life away, driven to write the page. Will it enlighten your brain? Give you the flight, my plane, paper the highs ablaze. Somewhat of an amazing feel when it's real to real. You will engage it. Your favorite, of course, the Lord of an arrangement. I gave you the proper results to hit the pavement. If they get emotional, hey, maybe your language, a game, how they playing it well without Lakers. Evade them, whatever the cost, they are the shapeshift. Snakes get decapitated, met is the apex. Execution of flame you out, nuclear bomb distributed at war, rather gruesome for eyes to see. Max them out, then I light my trees. Blow it off in the face, you're despising me for what though? Calculated and rather cutthroat. Paranoid American must be all the blunt smoke for real. Lord, give me a day away, vacate. They wait around to hate whatever they say. Man, it's not in the least bit. We get heavy rotate when the beat hits, so thank us, you're welcome. Fuck the niggas for real, you're welcome. They ain't never had a deal, you're welcome. Man, they lacking appeal, you're welcome. Yet they doing it still, you're welcome.